Welcome to the Mystical Truths Podcast. This is Rebecca, and I'm really glad you're here. Let's unlock your world. Tarot is a useful guide to help us navigate physical life here. And anyone who says it's bad or evil or complicated hasn't properly educated themselves on it, or has learned from someone who has made it what it's not. And I decided recently to offer the tarot series. I haven't done that for quite a while. And I got to thinking about how the major arcana represents the soul's journey through life. And I always teach the whole series from a very easy perspective. That's just how I like to break things down. I like to keep things easy, simple. But I wanted to make this even easier, more relatable. So I separated out that part of the deck, and I looked over each one, and there it was. So simple. I wrote one or two short quotes for each card. And the best part is, all of the affirmations that I use a lot fit right in there. So this is going to be fun. Let's get right to it. I'm using the universal weight deck, but you can use the Rider weight deck. They're almost identical. That's just my preference. The major arcana consists of 22 cards, numbered 0 through 21. They all have a Roman numeral at the top, and their name, the name of the card at the bottom. And each one represents a stage in the soul's journey through life, which we'll also call the fool's journey through life. I'll use fool and soul interchangeably, because we'll look at the first card. The first card is the 0. It's called the Fool. And in this image, the Fool represents the soul coming into physical life. This is a new beginning. This soul is full of trust. So the quotes I put with this, I chose 2 for this. I am here. And isn't fun the best thing to have? Because when a soul comes into a new, fresh life experience, just like the image in the card, it's bright, it's shiny. This soul, this fool is at the edge of a cliff, but looking upward, completely trusting that life has his or her back. I'm here. Isn't fun the best thing to have? The next card is the number 1. The Magician. This is where the soul realizes its conscious awareness. I create. This card, labeled the Magician, is labeled so because there's really no magic. Everything is explainable. And this is a card of creation. Conscious awareness that I am a creator. There's also the caption that can go with this that is as above, so below. As this contrasting, full of variety experience sparks a desire or an idea, a preference in me, it can be created. So I create. I create by my desires, by my thoughts, by my interests. The next one is the 2, the High Priestess. She's a representation of the unconscious, the intuition. So for her, I added, I have an inner being. And this is between me and me. And what I mean by that is you, the you that you know here in physical, are just a part of your whole soul. You have the rest of you that is not physically focused. That is your inner being, what people call your higher self. So what you're doing here is always between you and you. You're not separate. Just part of your focus is directed through this life experience. So this is a co-creative experience, meaning you create with the outlook you have here, but that always includes the whole of you. So the soul realizes, I have an inner being. The next one is the Empress. She's the number 3. This is where the Fool meets or realizes the mother, or the idea of the mother, or the idea of the feminine. So the quote I put with this is, I am feminine, because we all are. The next one, the number 4, is the Emperor. This is where the Fool meets with the idea of meets the Father, or the idea of the Father energy. So with this one, I added, I am masculine, because we all are. The number 5 card is the Hierophant. This is when the Fool is exposed to conventional beliefs, maybe even religion, education. So the quote I put here is, I am caring about what others think or say. Because that happens as the Fool is exposed to other people's beliefs or ideas about things, conclusions that they have come to. It's a lot to take in because there's so much difference in that. And because we are loving beings, we care. But this is where the soul often learns to care about what other people think, about what they say, which is our first real tripping point. Because when we care about what other people think or what they say, we become more vulnerable. It's fine to care and to respect what other people think and say. But when we care about it to the point where it's affecting our perspective, that's a bit of a tripping point. But we knew that coming in. The number 6 card is the Lovers. This is when the Fool realizes love and or union with another or others. So for this one, I added, I love. I am love. And when I teach the series, I'll go more into each card and add some more thoughts about that. But I wanted to just give this overview so that whether you take the course or not, if you're just willing to look at this as this beautiful journey and apply it to your whole life, life in general, or one area of your life, like the romantic part of your life, where are you at in that journey, or the career, or the family evolution, where are you at in that journey? What have you already crossed here? So the next one is the 7. These are all Roman numerals, by the way. This is the Chariot. This is where the Fool realizes its independence, its adulthood, maybe, that it has the freedom to move and travel and get around. So I added to this card, I choose my course. Because the Fool or the soul at this point is recognizing, I pick my course. I choose. And there's a lot of power in that. Now, whether the Fool or the soul retains full power there, can vary. The 8th card is Strength. This is where the Fool has gained wisdom, courage. So I added here the word ease, and I have an inner knowing. I access divine timing. This image is where there is a person petting a lion. The lion seems to be enjoying the experience as well as the person. It looks like a happy story that's being told there. But yet it's the word strength. The woman's not using whips and chains to tame the lion or to have this experience with the lion. This person knows divine timing. If I'm in ease, and if I know I have an inner knowing, then timing will be perfect for this experience. I'll know when not to pet, and I'll know when to approach and enjoy this experience. The next one is the 9. This is an image of the term is hermit. And this is a person who has a cloak on, long beard, light shining. This is when the soul starts to question more, realizing its adulthood, its inner ease. It starts to question the deeper truths of life. So I added here, I am a light that shines. I am no longer shining my light. Because when you start to ask some of the deeper questions or look within, the hermit isn't representative of somebody who lives in a cave and doesn't come out. It's a symbol of that inner knowing, that inner questioning, and recognizing that I don't need to shine my light. I can be. I can just be. And then I'm a light that shines. The next one is the Wheel of Fortune. And it looks pretty much just like that. It has a lot of symbols on it. This is the full coming to the realization that everything is connected and working in harmony. The wheel is turning. The wheel's always been turning. And it's fortunate. It's good. So I added to this one, everything is working out for me. Everything is working out for me. The soul's starting to see that now. Whether the soul is referring to wanted or unwanted, we can realize that everything is working out for us. Next up is the Justice card. I don't know if I mentioned, but the wheel was number 10. This is number 11. Justice. The Fool realizes that there are some laws. Universal would be the law of cause and effect, balance, but also that people have made some laws. So I added to this, creation is fair, but this physical world doesn't always seem so. So this is another little tripping point where the Fool realizes that it may take a little hermiting or going within or just shining to navigate in a world where there is the law of cause and effect, which is a great thing when seen properly. But there are also laws that people have made, many, many, many laws that people have made. And to navigate that can be a tripping point. It does not have to be. The 12th card is the Hanged Man. This is another kind of tripping point. This is when the Fool realizes its limitation, its resistances, that it's just sort of picked up along the trail. So I added here, I get hung up sometimes. Because we all do. I mean, it's just part of life here. We get hung up sometimes. And then I also added, there are 2 lanes in this life. And that's a reference to the 2 lanes analogy that I've used in a few episodes. And when we are in that unwanted lane, we're hung up. But that's okay. We just don't want to stay hung up. It's a beautiful day here today in Pennsylvania. And I have my windows open. There's a fire whistle going off, so I keep stopping. There are a few people outside. So if you hear some background noise, that's life. That's life happening out there. So the next card is 13. This is the Death card. This is one of the 2 cards usually that you'll see on TV when they want to make tarot look bad. And the Death card is not a bad card. It's a card of change. Death was used as the example because death is one of the biggest, if not the biggest change that we realize or think about in this life experience. So what is death, though? Death is a transition. And death is a really good thing because we don't want to stay in this physical life forever. And that release, that withdrawal of our attention from the physical, we don't have words to describe how beautiful that is. So I added to this one, I know that everything is temporary and leading to more. Because our life is temporary. So this is a symbol for that. But it's always leading to more. Every change that comes up, whether we want to label it good or bad, wanted or unwanted, has honey in it, is really good if we are willing to look for it. So the death card is just the card of big change or transition. Next is the number 14. This is temperance. This is a symbol of the fool or the soul realizing that by experiencing extremes, and we do have extremes, without a doubt, the fool has come to realize, and I added this quote, I appreciate moderation and balance. The extremes aren't bad. When we get extremely this or extremely that, it's a learning experience. It's an expanding experience. But we do get to the point where we realize we love to have balance. We love to have a flow and blend with life rather than try to hammer out this life. So temperance. 15 is the devil card. Here's another one that you see on TV when people want to make tarot look scary. The devil card is just a card of self-imposed limitations. It's ignorance, lack of knowing, lack of trust. So I thought the saying that fit this best is, I limit myself. You know, the image is of this devilish looking creature thing and two naked humans. They're naked because they feel vulnerable. And they're chained to the throne that this devil is on. But if you look, the chains are loose enough they can take them off and walk away whenever they want to. Because there's no devil, there's no chaining, there's no bondage. But we are free enough to feel that there is. So it's self-imposed limitation, which is what limitation always is. So that's good information, right? Don't you want to know when you're limiting yourself? The 16th card is the Tower. It looks like a complete disaster. There's a tower there's this lightning bolt that's coming. There's fire and people are just flailing out of the windows and sailing down through the air. And I just love this card because this is a good example of how we misinterpret life here. It looks like a disaster if we want to look at it that way, which people often do with the unexpected or the unwanted. But what's really happening here is this is an enlightening bolt that is hitting this tower. It's shaking things up because it's just gone that far. Do things have to go that far? No. But we can be pretty good at letting things go that far. So I added to this, there is honey in everything. There's honey in this tower. There's honey in this experience. If we'll look for it, if we'll wait for it, I think it's helpful to say when you're having an experience or you're going through a time like this, okay, I don't understand really what's going on. I can't see the other side of this yet. And it feels weird. Sometimes it's because your radar is picking up things that you can't understand yet or you don't see yet. So if you say to yourself, I'm just going to hold on here because there is honey in this for everything, because there's honey in everything for me. I don't know what it is yet. This is just weird. It's odd. Now it's getting easier. It's getting better just because of that, just because of you shifting your perspective and looking at this situation that way. Number 17 is the Star. This is where, the Fool's been through some things, right? There's been the Hanged Man, justice, right? There was justice, there was the Hanged Man, the understanding of change with the Death card, the preference for balance, the realization of I'm imposing my own limitations. And then the Tower, does life happen to me or does life happen with me? So all of that has been such good expansion and wisdom gaining stuff for the Fool. And if I didn't mention before, the Fool, the word, we call this the Fool in this deck because not because somebody's foolish, we're foolish as a soul, we're foolish for picking this life. It's not that meaning of the word. It's the fool, the one that just is open and easy and allowing, trusting. So the star, after all of that, the fool has its faith restored. It sees the beacon of inspiration or realization. So I added here, life is really good. This is where the fool says, all the good, the bad, the ugly, it's all good. I have gained so much. I understand things now that I couldn't have understood without that experiential learning. And I honor it all. And, in this card in the star, there's stars all over it. There's a person there with 1 foot in water, 1 on land for that balance. And this person is naked. Not because of, like in the devil card where there was vulnerability, but in this card because this person is completely okay, completely confident, doesn't need clothes as a symbol, has come to that place of just love and understanding of self and of life. Number 18 is the moon. So now with this inspiration, realizing that life is really good, the fool looks around and recognizes that Source is everywhere, omnipresent, everywhere. Everything is Source. So I added here, all of life is guiding me. The soul realizes that all of life is guiding me. I also added, life is a great teacher. Life is amazing. That's from the maze analogy that I've used before. So this is instinct. This is what animals know. The creatures of this planet know that there's a flow. And when we recognize that flow, all of it, everything that syncs up in your day, everything that syncs up in your experience is information, is guiding. Life is a really great teacher. It'll get you there, wherever it is you want to be. Whether it takes you multiple lifetimes, you will expand to what you want to expand to. Because the physical life here is amazing. And in this image, by the way, there's the sun-moon combination in the sky, dark sky, and there are some creatures, 1 coming out of water, 2 on land, that are looking up at that sun-moon and giving us the indication that these creatures know that everything is guiding them. They're in this flow. The moon affecting the tides, it's all connected. And they don't have to think about it or wonder where the guidance is. They just be with it. And that's what I mean by, you've heard me say before, like the birds just know when to fly south and then back north. The squirrels know when to start gathering food for the winter and what to do with it. Creatures have babies and know what to do with them. They're not born with a book of knowledge in their brain. They are tapped in to what we call instinct, which is intuition in the flow. So life is a great teacher, always guiding you. Number 19 is the sun. So more realization, the full knowing that, wow, all of life is guiding me, gets the full to this place of even better trust, knowing that light shines in all places. This, I added the quote, I am. I am. I am the sun. I am the newness. I am the continuation of creation. In this image, there's the sun shining, there's a young child on a white horse, there's sunflowers around, a red flag. It's just this happy time of newness, of brightness, which is why a child was used, because they're newer and brighter. Number 20 is judgment. And this is not judgment in the way that we think we're being judged or that we should judge each other, because that's not a thing. Shouldn't be anyway. This is where the fool realizes its eternalness, its total and complete acceptance and connection to all, to everything, to source. So I added here, we are all one. We are all one. The image shows an angel in the sky blowing a horn with a flag that has a red cross on it. There are people that look like they're maybe ghosts standing up out of coffins. Are these our past lives? Are these just different people? Is this a wake-up call? This is a realization that we're all in this together, which would make a great quote here too. We are all one. We are all in this together. That angel's not there to save them from anything because there's nothing to be saved from. And then the last one is 21, the world. So we've come to the end of this major arcana. The world. There's an image of a big circle here and some symbols around it and in it. This is the full completing a life cycle or a cycle. And all of the wisdom, the symbols represent all of the wisdom and joy gathered along the way. So I added here, I am eternal. Because when we complete a cycle, another one begins. We're eternal. There's no hurry. There's no end. There's just more, more, more. So maybe that gives you a little insight into not only how profoundly teaching tarot is and how good it is and how positive it is, but how we make our way through this whole life experience. And like I said, you can apply this. You can look at this in reference to one area of your life. Am I in the tower right now? Am I nearing the completion of a cycle? And in that, that's what makes tarot easy. You know, I've only had time in this recording to cover that basic soul journey through the major arcana. But in the series, I'll talk about all the cards and a little bit more about how they apply to us, to the now, to your life now, or to your future even. Understanding tarot is not hard. You don't have to memorize. I've heard people say, oh, I have to memorize every card, and then I have to memorize what each card means or how it changes when it's around other cards in a spread. Because I used to think that years ago. I used to think, I'm not going to learn all of that. That's just too much. And it initially didn't make sense to me anyway. I thought, how can you shuffle cards and bring them up and it's going to mean anything for somebody or their future or their now? I didn't know about synchronicity then. Once I began to understand how things synchronize, now I was curious about the cards. And I thought, well, let me see if that's actually accurate. So I started to learn and pay attention to the tarot and keep it easy. And I thought, wow. I mean, and even to this day, it still impresses me how this just synchronizes up, and it is really good guidance. Any reading, in my opinion, and I believe in the opinion of Source or in the knowledge of Source, is not fortune telling. It's not future telling. It's not telling you what to do or what not to do, or what is definitely going to happen or what is not going to happen. We are forever creating and readjusting our focus and our preferences. There are some things that you set up here to experience for sure. Your inner being will make sure you get there to each one. Other than that, your free will is whatever it is in the moment. So these cards and the intuition that we all have can help you pick up on what's my trajectory? Like, where am I at? And what am I sort of spewing out there ahead of me? Or creating really well out there ahead of me? I believe that we should conduct readings like Source does with us. You're free to do this any way you want to. Just so you know, this is what it's piling up like. If you like that, keep going. If that's not really what you were hoping for, here's a little guidance about that. Here's what you can tweak. Here's what may work out better for you. Take it or leave it. So even with spreads and with the cards in general, each card is telling a story. And then you put pieces of the story together and they tell a bigger story. That's why you don't have to memorize so much. You know the basic. That's, again, the way I see it. There are so many different opinions about tarot. There are so many different ways that people teach it. They're all beautiful. I like the depth of things. I like to go deep in things, but I don't like to complicate things. Now, I haven't set the date for the series. If you're interested in it, you can email me and let me know. I'll be teaching it by Zoom. And, I'm going to be doing a recording soon about the story of our future, about your future and our collective future. And for that topic to flow, I thought this one needed to be said first. This one, I believe, will give you a nice footing for that next one. For really getting, because this is an important time for us to understand the story of our future and what our part is in that, whether it's our personal future or our collective future, or both, because it's always both. And the reason why this is an important time for that is because there is a lot going on very quickly. And that's all really good. But I can see how some people are getting spun out. And we don't need to get spun out. We have control. We shouldn't get spun out if we really want to have a positive impact on where we're going and what's playing out for us. We are creators. So more about that coming ahead. I wanted to take a minute and I want to start thanking, all of you more specifically. I notice you're listening all over the world, and I really appreciate that, mostly in the States, but in other countries too. Lately, I've noticed an uptick in people listening in New York, the state of New York City, Brooklyn, Hamburg, Buffalo, Queens, Rochester, Garden City, the Bronx. So thank you all. I really super appreciate it. And until next time, if you would like personal guidance or have a spiritual experience or some questions you want to share here, let me know. You can find me at mysticaltruths.com.